against Austin P starting at 7 o'clock. It's 76 degrees at 2 o'clock time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. Now, Lauren Brooks, Taylor Dahl, and Tom McManus. This is
Helmets and Heels.
Helmets and Heels on 1010XL.
We've already made it to Wednesday, Taylor Dahl.
Whoop, whoop. Hump day.
That's right. I
And
love
on Wednesday,
Wednesdays.
you wear pink. I forgot.
It's totally fine. I actually had a reason to wear pink today, and it is because I got these new shoes, and I wanted to show Grace. And Grace, because Grace has great style and great shoes all the time, too. And so when I got these Adidas, I felt cool, first of all, even though I'm not, because Trevor Lawrence and Marissa always rep Adidas.
Adidas, yes.
And so I was like,
I do like Adidas.
Yes. So I was like, I need some of those, some Sambas. And I played soccer growing up, so like I felt like I could get the Sambas and rock those. So because the shoes have pink in them, I also had to match with pink.
Yes. I love the shoes. I also love how I think it's like British or English and they say Adidas instead of Adidas. Like I love the way that it sounds when they say it. I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
But it sounds weird when I say it.
It's funny. Growing up, people would say that it stood for all day I dream about soccer, but it doesn't. That's not what
It was a lie.
It was a lie. And so, yeah, there we have it. All right. Tom McManus has the day off. He'll be back with us tomorrow. I would not go any further without mentioning that, considering we've started the show with fashion. And if Tom were here, he would chime in.
Oh, he definitely would.
But yeah, he'll be back with us tomorrow. All right. I do want to talk about Jadarian Price. When it comes to the Jaguars, we've talked so much about the 2025 season, and rightfully so, but we also want to look ahead to the 2026 season. And as you go through different players that may not be back, like a Travis Etienne, like a Devin Lloyd, like a Buster Brown, right? We've talked about all those. We haven't necessarily gotten into who could replace their production as far as if they're off the roster. And in looking at it, I have seen Jadarian Price be picked in these mock drafts, obviously, in around 59th. So certainly the Jaguars in theory could take him with the 56th pick. I've also seen him go in the 80s.
Yeah.
So maybe the Jaguars could package up maybe the third rounders, get up to the second round to get him if they really desire so. But I just feel like everywhere you look, he's the second best running back, of course, second behind Jeremiah Love. And as a Notre Dame fan, I was like, Taylor's got great insight on this. And we haven't really talked about, could the Jaguars go in that direction? I don't think the Jaguars are going to take a running back 56.
Yeah, no.
I think we all think they're going to take a defensive lineman, whether that's a tackle or an edge. But I just wonder, from your side of things, would he be a great addition to this team?
Yeah. And so I heard Frank and Hayes talking yesterday, or maybe the day before, about how they think the draft may go. And Hayes kind of was like, I feel like it's going to be BPA, best player available at that. You don't have the first round pick unless they package and trade up. That's scenarios that obviously we'll talk about more heavy as we get closer to the NFL draft, because we've seen that, you know, how James Gladstone, he is aggressive when it comes to that. He comes from an organization that was very aggressive in that sense, sometimes giving away everything, sometimes taking stuff. So we will see as that gets closer. But I do feel like you kind of live in that world when you're pick 56, that's your first pick of the draft. Sometimes you do just pick that best player because I feel like the value starts to skew there. But you do have such a dire need, I think, on defensive line in general. We'd all agree on that sense, or defensive side in general, or what you feel. At this point in time, we don't know what free agency looks like either. That could obviously shift some things, because if they do end up keeping Travis Etienne, then this conversation's completely out the door. But when it comes to Price, I feel like, number one, and we were going to talk a ton about the type of player he is and what he's good at in that sense. But one of the things that I think I appreciate, which we don't see a lot much in college football anymore, is he stayed at Notre Dame. And so in the beginning of his career at Notre Dame, he was behind Audric Estime and Jeremiah Love. He stuck through that. And then obviously being behind Jeremiah Love the last couple seasons, and it was very obvious. It was Jeremiah Love was RB1. And then Price did come in, and it was kind of like one of the duos. You would see him a lot more in certain situations and certain games and certain matchups, depending what type of defenses you were facing. But I always give credit to the guys now that stick around. And from what I've heard, he had a lot of people, not probably allowed, but talking to him like come play for us. You'll start. You'll be RB1 at this
there's
school.
no such thing as illegal tampering in college football anymore.
Yeah.
We just allow all of that.
Yeah. And so I've heard from a lot of people that there was a lot of schools saying, like, you would start here and you'd be running back number one. And so give him credit for being able to be like, no, I committed to Notre Dame and I like playing for Marcus Freeman and I like this offense and all of the things that surround that, even knowing you were going to be behind a guy like Jeremiah Love, who's talked about being the best prospect in this draft overall. And so I do think that's one of the things. But in that same sense, he doesn't have a ton of tread on the tire. And I think that's something that oftentimes you look at in the running backs. That was something that people kind of criticized of an Ashton Genty, because they're like, man, this guy had a workload for his college career. Like, how long can he do that at the NFL level?
So did Derrick Henry.
Yeah, like, he's fine.
Take a chill pill.
And that's always one of the running back conversations. And that's why we saw the running back world kind of start to die down for a while, and now it's been rejuvenated a bit, especially the last couple seasons in running backs. But when it comes to Price, he's just so good. And like when you talk about terms of running backs that associate with him, he's one of the guys, like, he's very shifty, which is one of the things that I love. And this has played into his return game, which obviously people can go back to the college football playoff game against Indiana. He returned one in that game. So he had multiple return when it comes to that. He's just that shifty type of running back. And I think that's one of the things that you look at with him the most, is just him being able to create separation in time. He's not going to break a ton of tackles, but he'll twist out of them and find ways to kind of get around some of the defenders. And so that's one of the most fun things to watch about him. He's not the fastest when it comes to, like, he has that initial burst, which is fun, because you'll see him kind of get off and you're like, all right, like, you feel like he's just going to take off. Sometimes he gets a little too antsy in situations, and that's something we noticed a lot. Like, his feet would kind of go back and forth before he makes that decision, and by that time he's getting tackled at the line of scrimmage. Those were some of the weaknesses if you're talking about him. But he does so many good things when it comes to the burst, when it comes to the shiftiness, when it comes to being able to, like I said, kind of evade some of the tackles rather than break through the tackles. He's that type of guy. And then he does have that open speed. Like, once he finds green and he starts picking up, that's when you'll see him go. And that's why in the return game, he was such a benefit with the special teams. He was such a massive part of the special teams for Notre Dame. So those are some of the things that I think correlate to what would fit here. The problem is more so the receiving game. He wasn't a huge part of that whatsoever, which is what we are kind of talking. Yeah, Jeremiah Love was that guy, and it's not that he can't, because when he could, he never fumbled. He didn't have a single drop when he was involved in the receiving game. It just wasn't a lot, because you had a guy who did that, and because of that, that means the receiving game in general, he wasn't asked to block a lot. He wasn't asked to catch the ball in the receiving game a lot. So those things you don't know. It's not that he can't do it. It's that you just didn't have to. He didn't have to do that in college, because Love was ahead of him. And so
having a duo with Bashal Tutin, for instance, and Jeremiah or Jadarian Price wouldn't necessarily be something that he would be opposed to, because he's been doing it.
Yeah, and that's what I think is a good thing. You have a guy coming in here and being like, I'm used to being that second back and being used, and being used as like this situational guy. But if you're wanting somebody that you're confident in coming in and replacing the ETN part of things, then you would be expecting somebody to come in and be able to know that they can pass, catch, and block also is a part of that being the blitz stuff. And that was something he did struggle in at times, the blitz pickups. And so that's where that conversation comes in. But if you go back and you look at the film and the pieces of time where he was catching the ball, he was able to make things happen. And like I said, he didn't have drops. That's something you're looking at, and that was something we've talked about even back in camp when it comes to Tank had an issue with it, Bashal too, and we still feel like they're not as strong in the pass catching part of things, and that's what the type of back I think that you may be looking at here. But if you're looking at everything else and just the pure running back, and he's not the biggest running back, but he's super muscular, and that's one of the things that I think kind of helps. He's strong, so he doesn't. It's not like he's easy to get taken down in that sense, even though he's not huge.
Credit for that too. Lower body wise, when we all saw him in training camp, it was like, okay, he's more.
Yeah, his legs are massive.
Physically impressive, than I would have expected. And the good news, my math is terrible. So the Jaguars in the third round, those 3 picks are 81, 88, and 100. So when I saw Jadarian Price go 80, I think it was like upper 80s in one of the 3-round mock drafts, I was thinking for some reason that was in the second round, but that would be the third round. So that's the reason, obviously, I'm asking is, can the Jaguars maybe get a guy in the draft to add to what they have and not have to sign someone in free agency and spend that capital, right? Because we know Etienne's probably going to cost maybe more than what the Jags are willing to pay.
Yeah, especially because you have bigger needs. I feel like if you felt like your defense was more complete and had more guys returning, and we'll go over some of that today, then maybe you're more confident in kind of plugging into a position group like that, because you've seen it work for other teams. You've seen it, the Lions, I mean, they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs super high, and everybody mocked them for it, and it's worked.
The Seahawks, the team that just won the Super Bowl. Granted, Kenneth Walker was the only running back not the only, but the main running back as the playoffs went along, because obviously they had an injury there
with Charbonnet. But
with Zach Charbonnet, but that was a dual-headed monster.
Yeah, and I also think I saw a tweet earlier today from, I can't remember, it was one of the draft guys, but they were like, one of the interesting things about this draft, and I read one the other day about how there may be more safeties going in the first round this year than quarterback and running backs combined, which is crazy.
I think that was Dane
Brugler said that. But it might have been Brugler who also said this, but the gap between running back 1 and 2 is like the same distance between the running back 2 and 7. So he's saying pretty much Jeremiah Love is by far and away the best. Then there's a decent gap between him and Price, but then Price between that RB2 and 7, all of those are pretty similar to where you can make an argument for each of those. So in that sense, then you start to be like, all right, well, be a little patient, maybe get one with one of the 3rd or 4th round picks, because you could get a guy who's similar to a Price without having to spend like a 2nd or high 3rd on him.
And so with the 4th pick, 124 overall. And that's obviously where they got Bashal Tutin last year, not 124 exactly, but in that fourth round. And then, LeQuint obviously in the 7th round. And so I got excited at the idea. I guess I've been so sad at the idea of losing Travis Etienne, losing Devin Lloyd, those two especially, and Buster for sure too. But those two with the production that they had, the seasons that they had. And so I was like, I need to start pivoting towards thinking about what can the Jaguars add to upgrade, or at least, to try and get close to what they got last year from those two guys.
If anybody hasn't, go watch, because I'm sure everybody's seen Jeremiah Love film. Go watch his Jadarius Price, his film, because it's so good. And I posted one, so if you go to my Twitter, you'll be able to see one on there. But he was one of those guys where if Jeremiah Love wasn't there, he would have easily been running back 1, and you would have been probably talking about him being even a higher pick, because he wouldn't have been having to sit behind somebody who looks I saw somebody today saying Jeremiah Love could be the Reggie Bush we all wanted Reggie Bush to be in the NFL, and I was like, that's giving him some credit big time, because, I mean, you know what type of back he was in college.
Oh, yeah. Won the Heisman, but then they took it away. Something along those lines. That would never happen now. All right, so we will shift and turn our attention to basketball. Florida beat South Carolina last night in Gainesville. So we will talk to the expert. Big Pat Young will join us when we return. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010X on 92.5 FM.
Dan Hicken.
Doggone it, I'm one of the most beloved grassroots folk heroes of America.
Mornings.
Little kids love me, parents love me, everybody loves me. Now you come on out here and love me, or I'm gonna kick your little...
On 1010XL.
I'm telling you, people love me.
Hey, Jacksonville DDH. Dreamfinders Danny Hicken here with the scoop from Dreamfinders Homes, your national builder of the year. We've got first-year interest rates as low as 2.99% in homes in 20-plus communities throughout Northeast Florida. If you're house hunting, make sure your first pick Dreamfinders Homes, the proud official home builder of the PGA Tour, the Florida Gators, and your Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit dfhsalesevent.com today and tell them Dreamfinders Danny sent you.
Helmets and Heels.
From the Green Law Group Studios.
Welcome to Key Buick GMC, proudly family-owned and operated since 1943. Come see why they're North Florida's new and pre-owned truck center, conveniently located on Southside and JTB, just minutes from the St. John's Town Center. At Key Buick GMC, every new vehicle comes with our lifetime powertrain warranty. Key Buick GMC, we are professional grade. Online at keybuickgmc.com. Lifetime powertrain warranty covers engine, transmission, drivetrain only. Exclusions apply. See dealer for details.
Don't miss the Bari Breakdown with Dr. George Bari on XL Primetime, Wednesdays around 1:35 for the latest in sports injuries from all the big names in the game. Who's MIA? Who's coming back? Dr. George Bari on XL Primetime, Wednesdays at 1:35 on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Winter is in full swing, and Aleve is here to keep you moving. When the cold weather sets in, everyday aches and pains can linger, but Aleve's got your back. With up to 12 hours of body pain relief per dose, Aleve keeps you going with long-lasting body pain relief to get you through whatever the season brings. Chilly days or cozy nights, Aleve gives you that long-lasting body pain relief you can count on this winter. Try Aleve. Use as directed for minor aches and pains.
The Florida Forum welcomes world-renowned chef and humanitarian Jose Andres at the Center for Performing Arts March 31st. His impact spans the globe as founder of World Central Kitchen, Presidential Medal of Freedom recipient, and global leader using food as a force for change. All proceeds for the Florida Forum benefit the Women's Board of Wilson Children's Hospital, supporting a new outdoor play area for behavioral health services. Get your tickets now at thefloridaforum.com.
Been in a car crash? I'm local attorney Rick Alexander, and I've made it our mission at the Alexander Law Practice to listen to you so I can fight for the best possible result for you. I've been practicing over 30 years, and our team focuses on guiding you through the entire process. And because fees and reimbursement costs come out at the end of the case, I will never ask you to come out of pocket. For a free review, call 904-400-6600 or log on to alexanderlawpractice.com, Jacksonville.
Attention Northeast Florida golfers. Save hundreds on golf at premier local courses and support youth development. The First Tee of North Florida Tour Card is your key to big savings and making a difference. For just $99, you'll unlock discounted golf and offers at top courses and local businesses all year long. Plus, every tour card purchase helps fund programs that build character, confidence, and life skills for kids in our community. Grab your tour card today at tourcard.org.
At the First Coast YMCA, there's no place like this place, with programs and experiences that will bring your whole family together. Summer will be here before we know it, and Y Summer Day Camp registration is now open. Visit your local Y to secure your child's spot early for a season full of memories and adventure. Don't delay. Day camps will fill up. There's no place like this place, so visit your local Y to sign up or online at fcymca.org. Search Summer Day Camp.
I'm Frank Franzi, and I just got back from the farm at Okefenokee in Folkestone. Man, was I impressed. You have to see these handcrafted cabins. But act fast. On this 1,000-acre farm, there will only be 250 cabins. Each phase has jumped in value, so come get your lot and lock in your equity. Enjoy living in harmony with nature, going to the grocery store in your own backyard, and connecting with people grounded in food and purpose. Learn more at okefarm.com. That's okefarm.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch. Here's another call on the 1010XL hotline, driven by Key Buick GMC, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
Yeah, absolutely. Losing's hard, man. And when you lose, 4 of your first 9 games, it doesn't matter who the opponent is. You doubt starts creeping in a little bit. I think we were having some confidence issues within our club, and the tough schedule that we played in that moment didn't feel like it was going to pay that many dividends. But it wasn't until, January and February that we started seeing the benefit of it. But that early season struggle definitely helped us become who we are right now.
The comments of Todd Golden on SportsCenter with Scott Van Pelt last night about, of course, the Gators starting the season 5-4. Patrick Young, SEC Defensive Player of the Year in 2014. Gator legend joins us now. Pat, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's well overdue. I've probably listened to you guys so many times, and it's so awesome to be able to hop on with you both.
Well, we love that you've joined 1010XL.
We do. We love you here, Pat. And you were chiming in during our show the other day when we were talking about the players on the Jags that have that edge to them, and we missed one. And you said Logan Cook. Logan Cook has that edge.
Yeah, I mean, it seems as though that one interaction after it was a dirty hit. I can't remember exactly what game that Logan said some words to the guy in that moment. It was like, whoa, Logan is a dog.
I think it was the Titans, wasn't it?
What's the Titans? Because it was a bad hit.
Yeah.
And from the opponent, and then he was right in the middle of it. You gotta love that though.
Oh yeah.
Like you think sometimes that punters and kickers for some reason aren't football players, but those guys are nuts with it a little bit too. You gotta be.
You definitely have to be a little or have a few screws loose. All right, Patrick, let's get it to that game last night. Florida won 76-62 in Gainesville. I feel like the Gator fans were thinking it needed to be a larger margin of victory after the way that Florida hammered South Carolina up in Columbia, but still, it's a double-digit win.
Yeah. Correct. Yes, and I wanted to give credit to Lamont Paris because ever since he's been in this league, I think South Carolina's been voted last or second to last to finish each season, and he actually won Coach of the Year a few seasons ago. The difficulty is, when you have a terrible year like this, how do you keep your guys motivated? How do you keep them believing? How do you keep them connected? And it's a beautiful thing, even understanding that Florida just beat you by 47 in your own home. I thought South Carolina fought as good as you could. I mean, and that's the thing about Florida is that they have so many guys that can get you, especially in the front court. Thomas Houck had 10 points and 1 rebound. Why did he have 1 rebound? Because Ruben grabbed 18 of them last night. And then Micah Handlog in the 15 minutes, 5 points, 9 boards. And obviously Tanya played well. Overall, what I see from this team is, the guards don't have to be excellent. It would be great if they were. But as long as they're not sinking the ship by constant terrible shots, mistakes, etc., I think Boogie and Xavier Lee only had 15 combined last night. Surprisingly, Xavier Lee had 4 turnovers. He was going crazy. He had like 4 turnovers in the last 5 or 6 games in total in a row. So, this team, and I was talking to my coworker yesterday. I was like, look, Alex Condon doesn't need to be a great 3-point shooter. But can y'all imagine if he was making 30% from the 3-point line, like how the whole other level this team would be on? It's unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. And we've talked about that a lot on this show. In addition, Pat, to just Todd Golden. And I was kind of connecting this to last year when you were down the stretch, kind of heading into the tournament, and some injuries were popping up, and Todd Golden was able to just kind of adjust to everything so well. And we've seen that this year. He just made the comments, and we played it at the top of this segment of him talking about that slower start, the 5-4 start. What to you has been the biggest adjustment he's made to what you've seen from that first half to the second half of the season?
It's only losing 2 games since then.
Yeah. A lot less losses.
That's a great question. Well, I think they did a fantastic job of their schedule. They took on some really difficult games early on. And, I think it was a combination of the point difference was like less than 10, UConn, Arizona, Duke, of those big time games. And then, they had a pretty powder puff schedule in December. George Washington, Dartmouth, St. Francis, and Colgate, and primed and ready for SEC play. But obviously they stubbed their toe to start the season against a Missouri team that is very talented, but just does not have the record. Like they're like barely in. They got a Vanderbilt at home tonight that might put them in the tournament. But I think Coach Golden, like, for one, he continues to believe in his guys. I'm sure the conversation for Xavier Lee constantly was like, dude, keep shooting. You have the ability. But also he makes the adjustments. Like, all right, we got Irvine Clapshaw. He shoots it well. If Lee is off, we can make an adjustment. Because I was worried if he was going to be able to really have great impacts, especially in the SEC with a larger role. And obviously we see that he is. And he's not just shooting threes. He's taking tough shots off the dribble. He gets to the rim. He's had, at 6'1", he's had a few blocks here or there on the season. But ultimately, I'll say this, if there's 10 metrics you want to account for and you need 6 of them to be an elite team or a good team, have a run, Florida's figured out what those 6 are. And none of those 6 are dependent on how well the guards shoot. It's like a sprinkle on top. If they can shoot well as the team continues to rebound, dominate the paint, play great defense, protect the rim, etc., then they are in a great spot. So you just hope, the matchups coming forward, and I think they might lose one more game in the conference, but right now it's Florida versus the field when it comes to the SEC regular season and the tournament.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I don't know if Florida will lose, but if they do, maybe just one. So to build off of Taylor's question, what's more impressive, Todd Golden's adjustments or Ruben Chinyulu's rebounding?
Ooh, gosh, that's a great one. What's more impressive? I'm gonna go with Todd Golden because I'm curious how many coaches would put Thomas Houck at 3, especially when you have, because early on, like the spacing was pretty terrible at times where you got 2 non-shooters at Ruben and Condon on the court. Is not taking away from what they bring to the table. Like, just because they're not great shooters, we already know what they can do very well. But then the spacing just got so jacked up because, but Thomas Houck obviously shoots it well. He's still rebounding well. coach making the adjustments for the guards and their team and the offense and the deep. And, he probably convinced Boogie Flan to cut his hair as well. Right? And he's been a different player since Boogie's cut his hair. But I would say, great. I didn't see Ruben making this big of a jump on both sides of the floor like that. And Jimmy Dykes said it. He said when Ruben Chinyelu guarded the Barron Five-Line and right side for Alabama by himself, that whole possession, they're like, he locked up Defensive Player of the Year right in that moment, and that's probably true. So, and to all the listeners, yes, I do think Ruben is better than I was. I'm not one of those guys that's going to be like, I would have given him a run for his money. I give him a run for his money, but that dude is a monster.
He is, but you were too, just for the record.
Maybe I just don't remember.
It's only been 12 years.
Everybody else
Right?
remembers. So let's talk a little bit, because Todd Golden also made comments last night, Pat, after the game about just doing a better job of taking care of the ball after giving up some stuff in the paint. So your thoughts on that, especially moving forward to this road trip against Ole Miss and Texas coming up?
I don't got a bone to pick with Coach, but he got upset that I tweeted out that Alex Condon has to be better when he had 7 turnovers 2 games ago. He's like, Pat Young was too critical. I'm like, Coach, would you 7 turnovers? I don't know if I've ever had a 7 turnover game. I'm sure I've had. And then he had 6 last night. But, going forward, David Lee, he had 4 turnovers last night. Got to take care of the ball. The biggest crux of any team is if you have a bad shooting night and you turn the ball over, you can't have those 2 things happen. And, they need to continue to trend in the correct direction, right direction. Early in the season, they were almost like 1 assist to 1 turnover. And I think it has improved, but you would still love to see that become 2 to 1. And another really cool thing, Alex Condon, he's about less than 7 assists away from hitting 100 on the year as a big guy. So that's so impressive. This team it's a multifaceted group, and we interviewed Thomas House yesterday. That kid, he's Tebow of basketball, man. He just has great energy all the time. He's always smiling. He's so humble and hungry and plays so hard. So this team has such great versatility and depth. Honestly, just need those guards to be a little 5% better the rest of the season. And I think you see these boys in Indianapolis this year, or where's Final Four?
Yeah, in Indy.
Yeah, if in Indy, I think there's a great chance to see these guys in Indy if the team continue just to improve as they are.
Patrick Young with us, SEC Defensive Player of the Year in 2014, basketball analyst, also on SEC Network and 1010XL. Pat, by the way, I was at that Florida-Alabama basketball game when Ruben had that great defense, and I was so impressed that the entire crowd ended up standing on their feet and appreciated his footwork.
Yeah, and I think they give credit to Gator fans. I think they're really starting to see the difference with this team and last year's team and the growth. And obviously those moments are a little bit sometimes more memorable for last year's team because they're obviously a championship, but you had the first All-American in Florida basketball history in Walter Clayton Jr. I think you do have some great talent, without a doubt. Thomas House on that Player of the Year conversation. Ruben Chinyelu, he's getting national notice and recognition as well. They're just doing it in their own way. And I think the fans are trying to finally see that. I can't tell you how many times randomly I've run into Gator fans. What's up with these guards, man? I mean, why can't they shoot this and that? And I'm like, guys, look at the record. Look, it's a different team. Yes, they can improve shooting the basketball for sure, but let's not take away from how amazing the front court is. 72 points in the paint, the Alabama game. Mm-hmm. That is unheard of. And only 3 made threes in that game, and you score 100 points. Is amazing.
That was the G League dropout game?
Yeah, that was the G League.
Charles Petty. How do you feel about that, by the way, Pat? The coming back from the getting drafted and then coming back and playing in college basketball.
Yeah, well, he didn't get drafted, but that's besides the point. Okay. And in good faith, the system is I'm multifaceted opinions on this because the first one is with Nate Oates defending, we do this over and over again. It's like, Nate, first off, you are part of the problem because you couldn't convince this kid that averaged 6 points a game to stay in college. He rejected you. It's like that's one aspect. And then I just don't, he the fact that he put on the jersey, he had an NBA jersey on, he plays in G League, forgave his. I don't know if it's correct. I think guys should be able to come back to college if they try to enter the draft and it doesn't work out. But that's not the way the system is right now. When I was in college and I could declare for the draft, you got a chance to test the waters at least, to get some feedback and come back to college. And he had that opportunity afforded to him. And I'm certain some teams' career, like, we don't think you're going to get drafted. He wasn't even projected first round. We just need some normalcy. We just need the rules to stay the same for everybody, and it just come down to, instead of it just being about money, instead of it just being about, the fairness. Because, we're taking opportunities away from high school kids right now that if you're not, in the top 50 of high school basketball, you're more than likely not going to find a spot on the roster because the transfer portal has been consistently at over 1,600 players in basketball every year. That's a lot of open spots.
Yeah, it is wild. We talk about the transfer portal, obviously, all the time. Patrick, when it comes to what I feel like is one of the more underrated players, we talked about it, Urban Klavjar. We saw when Florida took on Miami here in Jacksonville to kind of kick off the season. It was a guy that I feel like Gator fans obviously knew him from last year, but didn't expect this guy to end up contributing so much. And I do feel like if Florida is going to make a run, they're going to have to depend on Urban.
Yeah, it's me. I'm the problem. I didn't think he was going to be this impactful but going back to what we just talked about with the Alabama conversation, and a big crux of it is international players have different rules for their eligibility, et cetera, because they don't have college basketball over there. It's like if you're good enough to pursue basketball, you can become a pro at 14, 15 years old. And I bring that up about Class because he was part of Real Madrid, one of the best basketball clubs in Europe. I mean, one of the best. So many awesome players potentially could be in the NBA, were NBA players at some point. I think it helped him to understand with his size, because the game over there is not as one-on-one as the NBA is. You do have your special players for sure, but there's no defensive 3 seconds. So there's not a lot of opportunity for that. So you learn how to play the game the right way, the way it was designed, in my opinion. But Clav, I mean, he's what's helped him so much. The bigs are playing so well and demand so much attention. He's getting a lot more open looks, and his confidence. It doesn't. If you give him a window, he takes a shot.
Mm-hmm.
You have to take it away from him, and he's shown that he's so good that you take him off the 3-point line, he can get to the basket. He can knock down that mid-range jump shot as well. He can pass the ball up when he needs to, and it's such a safety blanket for Coach Golden because they really went out there to get Xavier Lee, who's been a little up and down. And coaches made the adjustment. Like, you're not playing well. You can get 19 minutes. Class is going to get the other 21. Like, it's pretty black and white because this team just wants to win. That's all it comes down to.
So final one before we let you go, Pat. 4 different starters, I believe it has been voted SEC Player of the Week so far. So as of right now, February 18th, who would you say is the MVP?
Of the whole league or of the team?
Of the Gators, yeah.
The MVP. Gosh, that's so tough. I want to say Ruben. I want to say Ruben Chinyu just as a bias. Because again, he's 2 doubles away from tying the all-time record in Florida basketball history.
Yeah.
So and
on
he
top
had
of 312 rebounds.
He had 7 points and 20 rebounds against Georgia, and I'm like, what are we doing? Get my guy 3-4 points. Come on. So I'm gonna go with him to see he has a chance to break some great history for the Gator program.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I love that.
And I should know this. UConn, Kentucky. Who do you hate the most, by the way?
Both are pretty. I hate UConn more.
Okay.
Because I can't stand Dan Hurley.
Okay, got it.
But I give him credit because it seems like his players love him. But I like Mark Pope. And I don't care about saying this. Kentucky lost to Georgia last night.
right.
That was great. That was great. It was so good to see.
I love it. Well, it's certainly, good coaching considering you had one of the best all time in Billy Donovan. Obviously the best all time at Florida, but one of the best all time in the country. All right, Patrick, we will certainly be bothering you again. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you. Thank you both. I'll
Thanks,
see you
Pat.
soon.
Yes, talk to you soon. There he goes, Patrick Young. I asked about UConn since I've told you the story many a time when he was one of the guys in 2014 when Florida went undefeated in the SEC. Florida lost on my dad's birthday to UConn and then had the chance to beat them later on in the Final Four, but lost to UConn. And so the season ended on that
Some
loss.
hatred could grow from that.
Abso-frickin-lutely. All right, we've got more to do on the other side. Back to Jaguars football, so keep it right here. Helmets and Heels, 10 to XL, 92.5 FM.
Helmets and Heels.
Backed by Green Law Group.
For the insured.
Fighting for you. Live streaming from the XL Digital Studios. Brightened by Harbor Dental Care, Jacksonville's first choice for dental emergencies.
When it comes to glass, you don't want average. You want flawless. Duval Glass and Mirror has transformed homes and businesses across Jacksonville for over 35 years. Frameless showers that wow. Mirrors cut exactly to your style. Fogged or broken glass replaced. Decorative tabletops. Windows replaced or repaired to stand up to Florida storms. All backed by a 100% guarantee. Visit DuvalGlass.com for your free quote. There's only one name for glass and mirror around these parts. It's Duval.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Let's talk about the sound no homeowner wants to hear. Drip, drip, drip. Still dripping. That's exactly why Duck Duck Rooter created the Love Your Pipes promotion. Plumbing problems don't scare us. Not with years of experience and honest upfront pricing on our side. Right now, you can get free plumbing assessment on all fixtures with any paid plumbing service. It's the smart move to fix the issue now before it becomes bigger. So when you're stuck, call the Duck, 904-862-6769, duckduckrooter.com.
Are you looking for a place to outfit your truck or van? It's Catlin Truck Accessories. For 105 years and 4 generations, Catlin is the name you can count on. This is Keith Catlin, and we know trucks and vans too, from Lear toppers, ladder racks, van shelving, strobe lighting, roll and lock bed covers, and everything in between. If you want quality products and great customer service, there's only one name. It's Catlin.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
For 105 years, you can count on Catlin.
This is Frank Frangie. Over the past 11 years, the weight loss industry has seen it all. New medications, fad diets, sculpting. Yet Awaken 180 still stands alone as the proven solution for lasting weight loss. Results at awaken180weightloss.com.
Rick Ballou for Coy Dental. That's right, Carlson Dental is now Coy Dental. Dr. Lee has been practicing there for 9 years, has purchased the company. The Coy Dental team still has the same great dentists and staff. And remember, if you get nervous visiting a dentist, don't. There's never a problem at Coy Dental. With light sedation for cleaning, then deep sedation for all your restorative needs. Coy Dental, located in Bartram Park.
When it's game time, make feeding the crowd easy. Chicken Salad Chick serves fresh Southern-style chicken salad, flavorful sides, and crowd-favorite catering trays. Order ahead at chickcatering.com or visit one of 4 area locations today.
Hey, it's Angela and Brian Wall. How many companies do you know in this day and age that actually want their potential customers to call their competition and get quotes from them?
That's what WonderWorld wants you to do. WonderWorld knows there are other window companies out there, but we also know those other guys. When compared to WonderWorld, they can't offer you the quality at the price that WonderWorld can.
And with Window World, you get the absolute best guarantee there is in the window replacement business.
If anything goes wrong with your new Window World windows, 5 years from now, 10, 15, 50, Window World and I will be there to fix it for you. You get peace of mind with Window World, and to top it off, Window World windows increase the value of your home. So look what you get with Window World. Quality windows, low price, the best guarantee in the business, energy savings, and an increase in the value of your home. A win-win for you.
Call Window World today and get your free in-home estimate or see them online at windowworldneflorida.com.
Window World, simply the best for less. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah.
Thanks again to Patrick Young for joining us. So excited to have him as a part of the 1010XL family. And obviously, Taylor, you know, I could have talked Gator basketball for
The
2
whole show.
hours.
Yeah.
You got that right. But certainly we know out there, y'all also want to listen to some football conversation. And so we will pivot towards the Jacksonville Jaguars and appreciate Mike Clay, who went through, he's from ESPN, he went through and put together the percentage of 2025 defensive snaps that are still under contract for each team going into next season. This list includes the restricted free agents and exclusive rights free agents. It does not include unrestricted free agents. So to give you an idea, but when I tell you that Green Bay has the highest percentage of defensive players returning at 88%, the Jacksonville Jaguars, on the other hand, return only 60%. There are only 3 teams that have a fewer percentage returning. That would be the Lions, the Bills, and the Bears. Those are at 57% for both the Lions and the Bills and 51% for the Chicago Bears. Obviously, you could spend the next 2 hours talking about the Bears situation, but I want to focus obviously on the Jags and the 60% returning. We've talked so much about those 3 names, right? Etienne, Lloyd, and Buster Brown. But there's a lot more defensive unrestricted free agents that are not returning. And so we do have to focus, I feel like, or the Jags have to focus a lot when it comes to the draft and free agency on filling that 40% of snaps, unless they bring some of those guys back.
And some will be back, some of those names, because this is including, obviously, when you're talking about a roster as a whole, we are talking about the bigger names. We're talking about Buster Browns and Devin Lloyds and those names on that side
Greg
of the ball.
Newsome and Dewey Wingard.
Yeah, there's still a lot of the list.
Emmanuel Ogbah.
We started going right before the season started. I remember pulling up the list and being like, there's a lot of guys hitting free agency. And next year, by the way, it doesn't get any better. There's a lot on that, a lot of offensive side of the ball next year. But when you look at that, and that's part of right now when you talk about the Jaguars and the importance. And that's why I think when we're having this conversation about a Travis Hunter, for example, and they're saying, okay, well, he's going to play mainly defensive side of the ball. And I made the comment yesterday of, I think that's more so like that has been a statement right now because the defensive side of the ball is possibly going to lose a decent amount of people. So you're going to have to invest in more on that side of the ball. In addition, it didn't look as good as the offense late in the season. And so I do think you have question marks of how you want to build this defense moving forward. And we talk about a guy like Mason Smith, for example, and this is someone who he's going to be heading into year 3 next year, and you still have a lot of question marks. And my concern comes from that is, okay, we had all these guys, and Antonio Johnson, and Devin Lloyd, and Eric Armstead moving back inside, all of these guys, Jarian Jones, having really good seasons under Coach Campanile, and we still don't see that from a Mason Smith. And so I do think you're going to have to address that when you start talking about some of the guys, and Eric Armstead even, like a little bit later, you have to start planning for beyond that. You have to start planning for what's next also, because you're building this. If we're talking about a window and how long you want that window to be open, there's a reason that Green Bay's window has been open for a really long time. Granted, they haven't won in a while, but they've been really, really good at second contracts, drafting well, especially on the defensive side of the ball, and making sure these guys stay. And so when you just go look at the 2 rosters, they look very differently in how they're built, at least defensively. And so I think that's something that you do have to start looking into. How much do you want to start just really investing in the draft on the defensive side of the ball and lock in these guys that you have 4 years until that rookie contract's over, and then you can figure things out? Because I do think there's going to be a lot of conversations and harder conversations to be had next year than maybe even this year, outside of probably Lloyd and Buster Brown. But I do think that there's a lot of decisions there's gonna have to be made, and you're probably going to say some goodbye to some people that you don't really want to, but you have to be patient in that and look and say, okay, the Green Bay's done it before too, where they've traded away players where they're like, what are you doing? Like, this corner played really well, or this safety, and whatever the case may be, but they felt like they were building long-term rather than for a 1 or 2 year window. And I think that's what the Jags will probably do now.
And now, of course, everything I look at, I compare to the Rams, because that's where James Gladstone came from. So when you're talking about that personnel side of things, that's where he learned under Les Snead, of course. So where do the Rams fall in this? 81% of the snaps are returning for the Rams next season defensively. So you'd feel like, yes, when we have this conversation in 2 or 3 years, I would expect it to look a little different than it does now. But yeah, Devin Lloyd had 706 snaps. Dewey, 961 because of also special teams. Monteric Brown, 735. Greg Newsome, 462. Gardeck, 423. I didn't even mention him earlier. Dennis Gardeck's another one. Dwan Smoot, 450 snaps. Austin Johnson, 192. And Emmanuel Ogbah, 323. So Matt Dickerson, obviously, they did return or will return on the defensive side of the ball. But there's a lot of snaps there that they are going to have to fill. So we will see what their plan is over the next couple months when it comes to free agency and the draft. All right, so when we return, I want to get to a little Lauren's Lane. So keep it right here. Helmets and Heels, 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
Follow your home team on your home station.
That was just old school smash mouth football.
1010XL, home of the Jaguars.
DivorceMenOnly.com. This is Kenny Lay of Kenny Lay & Associates. Our firm specializes in representing men in family law. That's all we do. That's our only focus. We can help with all of your family law needs, such as divorce, custody, alimony, and child support. For over a decade, we have helped thousands of men with these types of issues. We even have an appellate division ready to challenge a judge's ruling. If you need a family law attorney, go to DivorceMenOnly.com. DivorceMenOnly.com. Offices, Jacksonville.
Helmets and Heels, provided by Green Law Group.
Frank Frangie here for Coil Fencing. Since 1927, Jacksonville has trusted Coil Fencing to protect what matters. And I trust them too. From tough chain link to your commercial project to sleek aluminum fencing your HOA will love, Coil does it all. Did you know that Coil can also install, service, and maintain those automatic gates that help protect your neighborhood or business? To schedule a complimentary consultation, visit CoilJacks.com. That's COYLE Jacks.com. Coil Fencing, A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On February 18, 2001, 7-time NASCAR champion Dale Earnhardt was tragically killed in a last-lap crash in the Daytona 500.
Create a backyard your family will love. Jack's Outdoor Solutions, an authorized dealer of Celebrity Greens, installs PGA quality artificial turf golf greens and complete outdoor spaces. From turf to custom hardscapes, landscaping, and lighting, every project is built for style, durability, and family fun. Locally owned and trusted across Northeast Florida, customers rave about their results. Check their 5-star reviews on Google. Plan your dream backyard today at jacksoutdoorsolutions.com.
The best value for golf in Jacksonville remains Cimarron. Totally reestablished with new tee boxes, improved fairways and greens, also a brand new restaurant with indoor and outdoor settings, and live music. Join the Wild One loyalty program online at Cimarron Golf. When's the last time you played Cimarron? Cimarron Golf Club on 210, the Wild One.
Are you ready for another historic season at the bank? It's time to lock in your seats for 2026 by placing your deposit now. Next season will be played at Everbank Stadium, but seating capacity is limited due to in-bowl renovations, and spots are going fast. Don't miss out on your chance to see the season's biggest matchups and highlight real moments by placing your deposit at jaguars.com/tickets or by calling 904-633-2000. Go Jags!
Daytona Supercross. Experience all the high-flying action and side-by-side intensity of Monster Energy AMA Supercross on the most demanding track of the circuit. The gate drops February 28th at the world's center of racing. The high-flying, crowd-pleasing Daytona Supercross is a great event for the entire family. For a chance to win tickets to Daytona Supercross, answer this. Who designs the Daytona Supercross course? Text the designer's last name to 641-1010 now.
Checkmate. I'm Brendan Cecilia, founder of Checkmate Coatings.
And I'm Chester, company mascot at your service.
There are 2 important steps to installing the perfect garage floor. The 2-stage coating application, sure, but nothing is more important than preparing the floor. Our team uses diamond grinding machines to grind your floors to a smooth, level finish. Only then can we...
Hold on! You grind garage floors with perfectly lovely diamonds?
No, Chester. We grind floors to perfection using the very best ugly diamonds. Too ugly for jewelry, but perfect for the grinding pads we use to prep the surface.
Perfect preparation and application. Now that's a perfect marriage.
Ugly diamonds?
Check. Perfect preparation?
Check. Smooth, gorgeous gleaming floors that really catch your eye? Checkmate!
Transforming your floors, making them great. Checkmate.
Visit checkmatecoatings.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still, present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch.
Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks with you. Tom McManus has the day off. He will be back with us tomorrow. Time now for Lauren's Lane.
Now, Lauren's Lane. Opened up by Closets by Design. Imagine your home totally organized.
Michaela Schifrin wins gold earlier today in the slalom and wins her 4th Olympic medal. But I'm just so incredibly proud of Schifrin because she's been through a lot in her life. I don't know if you remember a few years ago, her dad was at home and slipped and fell, hit his head, and ended up passing away.
Oh, I didn't remember that.
Pretty quickly after that. And then she's been the subject, unfortunately, but we know how it is in today's day and age, of a lot of verbal abuse on Twitter and things like that. I say verbal, written abuse, social media abuse, I should say, and backlash because of the fact that she hadn't been winning recently and she was a favorite over the last, I guess, couple Olympics. But she has been open about it and said, I just have to calm myself down, talk to my family, talk to my counselor, and just keep pushing ahead. And so I'm so proud of her for winning gold. And if I spoiled that for you because you're going to watch later tonight,
sorry.
So sorry. I should have said, hold on, I have an Olympics update for you. But yeah, atta girl, Michaela Schifrin.
Yeah, and we've talked about it on this show before, the cyber bullying that happens. And I can't imagine to that level because we hear some stuff and I work on local sports radio.
Right.
So I can't imagine being an Olympian or one of the top athletes in the NFL or NBA or whatever, and things that they see and hear and whatever. You have to be really good at being able to shut that stuff out.
Yeah, I'd probably not have social media during the Olympics, right? In between training and everything might be okay. But then once the events start, I would probably do away with it. And her dad, by the way, was an anesthesiologist, and he died in 2020 from an unexpected head injury. I know.
That's awful.
And he was they were super close, and he was super instrumental in a lot of the practices that she would have when she was younger and things like that.
Yeah, I speaking of the Olympics, this excuse me, a little off, but I was watching earlier the Canada and Czechia men's hockey game. That game was insane. We were in our office screaming at the TV during this because Czechia, which Canada obviously has been the best and usually is the best. It's just what they've been. It's usually Russia, Canada, and then a gap. USA has definitely made their way into those conversations, but they were losing for the majority of it was wild. I was I can't believe they're about to lose this game. They end up tying it. It goes to overtime, and then they end up winning it in overtime. But if
Canada did?
Yeah, Canada ended up winning it in overtime. But it was, Marner, who a lot of people do not like him anyways. And so it was one of the situations where I was if anybody to score the goal, you don't want him. But USA men's hockey coming up at 3, and I'm very excited about that. But it was, Jacob was asking, he was don't you kind of want it to be USA, Canada? And I'm yeah, it's a double-edged sword because, you kind of do because it's just that extra
to beat the best,
something.
You want to beat the best.
Yeah, but at the same time, we could be haha, you couldn't even get here.
Exactly. Sucks for you. By the way, speaking of things that you love, the Live Like Lou Jack's Baseball Classic comes up this weekend, and it features LSU, UCF, Indiana, and the reason you're going, Notre Dame.
Go Irish. Yeah, I have my tickets for Saturday. I may end up going Saturday, Sunday, but for now, definitely Saturday. Notre Dame, LSU plays at noon. And it's 80-degree baseball weather,
literally
in February.
Perfect.
I'm so excited for this. And I said last year,
Indiana and Notre Dame are going to be
what is
so
this?
hot?
They're going to be sweating.
Oh, yeah.
But I remember because last year UNF played Notre Dame, and I went to that game, and that game was freezing. I remember I'm dang, it was kind of chilly that night. I think it was, I say that, it was probably high 50s. And for them, I remember even those players were getting off the bus in just normal shirts and they're walking out. I'm and probably that feels great to them. This might be kind of warm for those guys especially it's been a pretty brutal winter up there this year too, that they've dealt with a lot of snow. They usually get a lot, but this year I've heard it's been pretty rough. So
if it's affected Northeast Florida, then
it's definitely
we've seen
affecting
those
up there.
systems for sure. And by the way, Live Like Lou supports families affected by ALS. It funds ALS research to find treatments or a cure for Lou Gehrig's disease. And of course, it honors Lou Gehrig as well.
I love that.
Yeah, get your tickets for the Jacks Baseball Classic.
And it is
for
cool
sure.
how they work it because you can get a game pass or you can do like the weekend passes. If you do that, you can go to any of the games throughout the weekend. So it's kind of cool because if you want to just go and, spend your day at the baseball park, which we love, obviously, ViStar Ballpark and what they've done out there. There's plenty of things to eat and drink. And you have shade places. There's also air condition and what's it called? The patio
Home
and the
plate club?
something like that. In the back. What's the one in the right field? I can't remember what it's called right now. But that one has air condition and TV. So if you still want to watch the Olympics while it's happening, there's just so many options. So if you want to if you're in the baseball mood, this weekend's the perfect weekend for that.
You got that right. And our friends at Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles are having a Tops Rip Night on Saturday night at the Jacks Baseball Classic. So
fun.
Certainly, you can say hello to them. Speaking of baseball, FSU beat JU last night 13-3, and that was in 8 innings. So it's a little bit of a tough night for the JU pitchers, but FSU did improve to 3-0. While that was the Dolphins' first loss of the season after sweeping Rhode Island this past week. And Florida improved to 3-1 with a 12-2 win in 7 innings at Stetson. And then Stetson comes to Gainesville tonight. First pitch is at 6 o'clock. UNF fell to 2-2 with a 12-4 loss at home last night to Charleston Southern. And then tonight, UNF travels to Tallahassee to take on Florida A&M with first pitch at 4 o'clock. I also watched some softball last night. Watched Florida men's basketball. This was Brian and I with my parents. My dad made barbacoa, delicious. Then we also watched Florida softball and Florida baseball. So we had all the Floridas going on. Florida is ranked 5th in the country and did beat UNF 7-3 last night in Gainesville. And then UNF will play host to Florida tonight. That first pitch, I believe, is at 6 o'clock. And then tonight, it is at 6 o'clock. So get out to UNF softball complex. Florida, by the way, 13-0 so far. UNF now 11-2. And then FSU was ranked 7th in the country, beat Louisiana last night 8-0 in 5 innings, improved to 9-2. And for all of you Florida State softball fans, Florida State obviously a great season last year, even though they came up a little short. FSU plays host to JU Wednesday, March 4th. And UNF Tuesday, March 24th. So get to Tallahassee those times and see UNF and JU.
I did see on Twitter a little bit of a weird / risque double celebration from one of the Florida players.
I saw that too, and I was like, I didn't remember watching that live on Friday night. I don't know what that is, and I'm staying far, far away from it. But speaking of baseball, on the Frangie show yesterday, the JU baseball coach, Chris Hayes, joined Frank and Hayes, and they asked him, of course, about the transfer portal, because you can't have a college coach of any sport on without asking about the transfer portal. And his answer was, I thought, really interesting. So we'll play that for you next. When we return, you are listening to Helmets and Heels 10 to Next on 92.5 FM.
In life, only the best things stand the test of time, like radio play-by-play.
I think it's bigger than it seems, and if you're one of these players or one of these coaches, it's the biggest thing in your life.
Your home for the most play-by-play is 1010XL.
Jimerson Burr is a full-service, Florida-based commercial law firm dedicated to helping businesses manage risk, maximize opportunities, and move their company forward. Jimerson Burr attorneys are business-oriented lawyers, equally comfortable as community leaders, private transaction counselors, or courtroom advocates. If you have a legal issue of any kind affecting your business, contact the firm at 389-0050 or jimersonfirm.com.
Helmets and Heels.
Bought for you by Green Law Group on 1010XL.
Looking to elevate your game night experience? Look no further than Best Bet. We're not just a card room, we're your destination for excitement, fun, and big wins. Whether you're a seasoned player or new to the game, we have something for everyone. Join us at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, or St. Augustine for thrilling tournaments, exciting promotions, and a vibrant atmosphere that will take your game night to the next level. Elevate your game night at Best Bet. Visit bestbetjacks.com to learn more. That's bestbetjacks.com.
Every time your team makes a move,
this kid could be the game breaker we're looking for.
1010XL will break it down.
We're professionals. We have a job to do, a season to plan.
Follow the road to the regular season with AA Automotive and 1010XL.
Do you want to grow your career with a company that's committed to growing with you? Florida Home AC has aggressive plans to double their workforce, and they're looking for determined, resourceful people with initiative. Just log on to FloridaHomeAC.com/careers to find out more.
WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach, WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Northeast Florida's highest-rated residential home electrical contractor is American Electrical, providing unsurpassed quality in Duval, St. Johns, Clay, and Nassau counties. No matter your electrical problem or project, large or small, American Electrical will get it done at a price that's right. High-quality electrician, that's who they are. Trusted company that's been on the First Coast for decades, proudly serving the community while being a big part of the community. Call American Electrical for all your electric needs at 737-7770. Wired right at a fair price.
Zero Res Month of Love Sale. Hicken here. Not only is your carpet one of the biggest investments in your home, it's also the biggest air filter in your home. If your carpet hasn't been professionally cleaned, you're breathing unhealthy levels of nasty dirt, dander, bacteria, and germs that keep recirculating again and again. Lucky for you, Zero Res is going to spread the love to you and your home. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $149. Book online at zerosjacksonville.com and say you want the 1010 XL or Dan Hicken Special.
Zero Res.
Gated Communities, Homeowners Association, secure corporate centers. When you need a full-line fence company capable of any size job, you need to think about Duval Fence. They've got the latest and greatest in gate operators and access control systems. Security is huge these days, and you want a gate that operates smoothly, around the clock, every time you hit the button. Count on a company that's been serving Duval and the First Coast for decades. That's Duval Fence. For the latest in gate operators, commercial or residential, check out Duval Fence.
This is the home of the Florida Gators. Get your Gators hoops on 1010XL. Brought to you by the personal injury attorneys of Farah and Farah, Randy Marion Cadillac of Jacksonville, and Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors.
Mortgage rates have dropped. They're expected to move lower. Home sales momentum is building. So now's the time to get your home ready to maximize your sales price. It's time to call Chad and Sandy, the proven experts to sell your home. Maybe you have concerns about putting your home on the market and getting it sold. Well, let me alleviate those for you. There's a real quick solution. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold or they will buy it. Call 414-6200 or go to chadandsandy.com. You'll find out for yourself. Chad and Sandy, the local real estate experts I trust and recommend with the sale of your home or mine. Using their proprietary Market Max system, Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. Anthony and Mary in Palmco said, we needed to sell our home to move closer to family, but low cash offers weren't cutting it. Since we'd only bought a year earlier, options felt limited, but not for Chad and Sandy. Call Chad and Sandy today, or log on to chadandsandy.com.
I'm Max Fink with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. The Florida Gators keep their streak rolling, beating South Carolina for the second time this year, 76-62. Alex Condon was the leader in the points column with 20 points and 10 rebounds, while Ruben Chinyelu recorded his 16th double-double of the season with 15 points and 17 rebounds in a night that was completely dominated by the Gators in the paint. It's 76 degrees at 3:01. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch.
Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you. Tom McManus has today off. He will be back with us tomorrow. By the way, like as you mentioned, United States taking on Sweden at 3:10 in men's hockey. So we will keep people updated when it comes to that. I just saw that Finland came back from down 2-0 and won in overtime over Switzerland. So Finland is now on to the semifinals.
Nice. I love, USA hockey is fun. I was saying we were watching it in the office, teaching Jacob he didn't know what like icing was or any of those things. So we're teaching him the basics because he at first was like, I don't know. Like, I feel like I'm not really interested in this. I'm like, well, do you know what's happening? Like, do you know the little things? Because if you're confused of why they're just like launching the puck down the ice and they can't do that, or why someone's sitting in the penalty box, maybe it's not as exciting. By the end, he was like, oh, wow, like 2 minutes left. This is kind of crazy. And I'm like, yeah, it's, and that's the one thing is people, if you don't watch hockey, you're like, well, there's 2 goals or there's only one, it was 1-0 and that's boring. But to me, it's just like, it doesn't stop. There's hardly ever stoppage in hockey. And that's the best thing. There's always action. Sometimes that action is fights. Sometimes it's just puck handling. Sometimes, it's the goalies and shots kind of ricocheting and that type of stuff. But it hardly ever stops, and that's the best part about it.
It reminds me so much of soccer. I'm not as big of a hockey fan as you are, obviously, but the two sports to me are somewhat similar because it's very fluid, and you don't have the
There's
starts
some similar
and
rules
stops.
and stuff too between the offsides and things like that.
Yeah, there's no penalty box for the soccer players, though there should be. There are written yellow cards, obviously, but there's not an actual penalty box. All right, more baseball to discuss, really more transfer portal to discuss. JU head baseball coach Chris Hayes joined the Frangie Show yesterday as JU played host to Florida State. And he was asked, of course, about the transfer portal. And like I said, I found his answer really interesting, so listen to it.
You become a little more calloused to it. You become a little more numb to any kind of roster management issues, especially early. As soon as the season ends, you go into roster management mode and figuring out, okay, what are the pieces we're going to have to work with? And we're going to celebrate the people that we have. We're going to celebrate the guys that want to stay in the Dolphin uniform. And then we're going to go find guys that fit who we are. Maybe they didn't get a chance at another place. If we need to go into the portal, ideally we don't go into the portal. Ideally we build through high school guys and we just continue to build. And when they sign with us, they're the same guys that are going to walk across the stage and get the diploma from Jacksonville University. And that's the idea that we're still going to fight for. Just knowing that, it's not going to happen as much as it used to.
We talked about the transfer portal. I went to Florida at JU baseball last year with my family. And remember, I came into the show next day and I was like, I have an idea about the transfer portal. And if Florida is going to pluck a guy from JU, Florida should have to pay JU for that player. Yeah, because it just seems so unfair to these mid-major schools. But I've gotten to know Chris Hayes, over the years being on the Frangie Show, obviously, first. And to hear him say he's become calloused and numb kind of to that, it broke my heart in the sense, I mean, Chris is fine, but it broke my heart in the sense of like, he's not like that at all. He pours into his players, as I'm sure every single local coach around these parts does, right? Whether it's high school to college. And to have them just turn around and walk away and pick a different school is frustrating.
It is. And it's such a difficult thing when it comes to, especially like baseball and basketball. We talk about a lot here in Jacksonville when it comes to UNF and JU. And I've talked about it before. My brother coached Western Kentucky for a while. They had the same exact issue there on their baseball team.
Once you get a good guy, someone comes and takes them.
Like they work their butts off. And like to his point, what Coach Hayes was just saying too was when you're looking at all of this and you are working hard because you want to still try and recruit these guys and get them. You don't want to hit the portal. You want to do this the way where you're building guys to come and want to play for the brand and want to stay. Unfortunately, it's also hard. It's hard to discredit the kids sometimes too if they come here and you're like, okay, well, whatever. If Florida does want you, it's hard to expect them to say no to that also. And so it's such a difficult position to be. And I feel like at this point in time, these coaches almost have to accept that you almost have to recruit as like, here's your step to getting somewhere else, like how a minor league baseball team. Okay, we're going to draft you. You're going to play in AA. You can work your way up and you can get to Major League Baseball. It sucks for them, but I almost feel like at this point you kind of have to approach it that way. Like, look, this is the amount of players that that has been kind of poached from our school, and they've gone to Florida and they've gone to Alabama and they've gone here and LSU and whatever the case may be. And it's not ideal because that's hard to build a winning program when you're constantly having to build it every year. It takes a little bit. I mean, we saw that with Todd Golden this year in basketball in a different situation, but in the sense of having new players and having to kind of adjust to how those players play together and all of that, how you coach those and adjustments.
It was just legal.
Yeah, but I just meant more in the sense of having to kind of start over with different teams. And if you're one of these programs, you're pretty much doing that every year outside of a couple players. It's not.
Right? Like to find them in high school and then to form those relationships with the players and their families. And like he mentioned at the end, to want them still in this day and age to get a diploma.
Yeah.
Like, hallelujah, someone recognizes that they're student athletes and there's life beyond
academics.
sports. That actually matters. And look, I think these guys, whether it's like you said, the UNF and JU men's basketball coaches, women's basketball coaches, the baseball coaches, like we talk about these players that come in and leave almost more than the ones that stay. And that's the sad part of things, right? Like Chaz Lanier for UNF, like we talked way more about him because he went to Tennessee and certainly did great things. But like we should focus more on the ones that start and finish
Stay
their
here.
careers, at that school. Like you talked about with Jadarian Price to start the show, the Notre Dame running back. Like we probably don't spend enough time discussing those
The guys that stay.
Yeah, those guys and girls that end up staying.
We mentioned it a little bit in the Arch Manning, for example, when he was sitting behind Quinn Ewers, how easily he could have left and started somewhere immediately and got that sooner playing time, and who knows what that looks like. But
money,
but you talk about the players, and a lot of times they are trying to do what's best for themselves in the future, and that's where it is hard to separate that, because you do want more loyalty because you had that for so long in college sports in general, but especially in football. That was something where it was like, I mean, Leon Searcy, you hear him talk about the way he feels about Miami, and he would do anything for that school even now, and I just feel like we're getting farther and farther away from that, and it really is unfortunate because it does. We talk about college football becoming closer to the NFL. All of these sports, soon it's going to be like, all right, well, we want this guy from UNF, so we'll send you this guy. We're going to just trade these two players. We'll swap these two players. And it's unfortunate because it's taking away what college football, I think, was originally created and had been for so long. And you're just not seeing it. And especially for the programs like a UNF and a JU, when you have players, and they're good. They're good at finding talent. I mean, we talk about it all the time of guys that transfer out. We talk about a Daniel Murphy playing at JU. And so they're able to do that. And also the talent coming out of Jacksonville, by the way.
Yeah.
We were making a list. We were talking about doing like a March Madness bracket of the the best athlete to come out of like the Jacksonville area. And the list we were creating, I was like, man, we pump out some players in this, and baseball, basketball, football, Olympians, and so it sucks to be able to be like, we have all of the talent in the world to do that, but it's getting taken away because now you can pay these guys and you hit the portal and it doesn't matter how many times you transfer. And that's where the guardrails kind of need to come in to maybe some guardrails will help these these type of programs, the mid-major programs, because they'll be able to say, all right, well, you only get one transfer, so you better make sure it's the right one, or you can stay here, and this is whatever the program is heading towards that season, whether they're playing well, and that's, if you're winning, it's easier to convince somebody to stay in that situation. But maybe if that's it, maybe that would help a little bit, of just saying you only get one chance to transfer. So maybe that would make people think about it a little bit more, and then it helps. Or to your point,
used to be.
Yeah, or to your point, that other school taking has to pay compensate in some form, because it is getting to the point where it's really that these guys, the programs now are putting so much work into recruiting these players and finding these players, and they're developing and unable to keep them.
It's just, I guess it speaks to me too, after having worked at UNF for that little over a year and seeing all the different ways that those student athletes are poured into, not just from their coaches, right? Like they make sure that every student athlete, that their well-being is cared for, right? And if they needed tutoring, if they needed to switch dorms or whatever the case may be, pouring money into facilities. And so both of these programs work so incredibly hard at putting these student athletes in the best possible position for success in life, not just in sports, but in life. And then another school says, hey, you want to come here? And those bigger schools, yes, they can pay. I don't think that while they have resources, I don't know that they're necessarily always going to pour into these student athletes the way that JU and UNF do. So, there's our rant against the transfer portal for today. I'm sure more will come.
Yes, for sure.
All right, back to the NFL when we return. Keep it right here. Helmets and Heels, 1010XL on 92.5 FM.
We celebrate freedom. We celebrate life. We celebrate Jacksonville. 1010XL.
For 25 years, Instant Keys has been the go-to locksmith service for car keys, transponders, and even high-tech smart locks. For honest, professional locksmith service,
Instant Keys comes to you.
Helmets and Heels.
Backed by Green Law Group on 1010XL.
Not everyone is built for a cubicle. At Local 234, apprentices get paid to learn hands-on skills like plumbing, pipe fitting, HVAC, the stuff Jacksonville runs on. No endless lectures, no massive student debt, just hands-on training, real jobs, and real pay. This is how you level up, by doing work that actually matters. Check them out at UA234.com. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Local 234. Make the right connection.
Free oil change alert. Mike Dempsey here for Duval Ford Mobile Service. They're treating 8 listeners February 25th at the 1010 Studios during Jaguars Today. For your chance to win a free oil change, text OIL to 641-1010.
Hey, it's Travis from Cannons of Jacks. When you need a trailer hitch, gooseneck, or RV towing options, call us at Cannons. We've been doing it for 55 years, and customer service is our #1 priority. Visit cannonsofjacks.com.
The road to March runs through Jacksonville. The 2026 Atlantic Sun Conference men's and women's basketball tournament is coming to VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena. Catch all 24 Division I basketball programs in action March 3rd through 9th. Reserve your seat today at asunsports.org/tickets. Jacksonville is the destination for ASUN basketball. Get your tickets to the 2026 Atlantic Sun Conference men's and women's basketball tournament today. asunsports.org/tickets.
Are high-interest credit cards and other loans sucking the life out of your finances? It's time to say no more. Let Loan Pronto tap the equity on your home and get the cash you need now so you can pay it all off. Hey, it's Prosser here. Corey and Jack called Loan Pronto in a matter of days. They had $160,000. They kept their 3% mortgage intact, didn't even need an appraisal, and with all that cash, they wiped out all their credit cards and 2 car loans, saving $2,000 a month. You can do it too. LoanPronto.com, the rapid equity loan program, can get you $100,000, $200,000, even $500,000 in cash. Chloe and Ethan just did it. Consolidated all their high-interest debt into one super low monthly payment, giving them an extra $1,000 a month. Imagine, pay off all the credit cards, slash your monthly payments, breathe easier. Get your life back. Interest rates are at 3-year lows. Call Loan Pronto today, 904-999-1500. That's 904-999-1500, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. Visit NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
No one knows how awful it is to get injured more than me, and especially if it's because of someone's negligence. Hey, this is Tom McManus. If you get injured out there, there's only one number to call. Pound Law. That's all. Slip and fall, car wreck, wrongful death. It doesn't matter. Morgan & Morgan handles it all. They're the largest in the country. 100 offices, over 1,000 attorneys. $20 billion recovered for 500,000 clients. That's the kind of team I want working for me. If you get hurt from someone else's wrongdoing, check out Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
Hacker here. We're rolling towards March, and for most people, that just means better weather and more golf. For me, 2 years ago, this time of year was a life changer. Honestly, it felt like a lifesaver. That's when I started Awaken 180, and in 1 month, I was down 35 pounds. 2 months, 50 pounds. And no, it wasn't magic. It wasn't some miracle shot. I tried the meds. I tried the cutting carbs. I tried convincing myself I was fine. None of it stuck. Awaken 180 wasn't a trick. It was a solution, a real plan, a coach who didn't let me drift, and the weight just melted off. That's the only way I can describe it. And here's the best part that matters. It stayed off. I'm not bracing for it to come back. I've kept my 122 pounds off for well over a year, and it stayed gone. Have 35 to lose? Cakewalk. 50? Simple. If March for you is just another month, fine. But it could be your turning point. It was mine. Awaken 180weightloss.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focus, fueled, fearless, Farah.
Welcome back to Helmets and Heels on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon, rolling through the show today. And we've talked obviously about Jaguars football. We've talked about men's college basketball with Patrick Young. And now we're going to go back to football and talk about some NFL news, but we will keep you apprised of the hockey game. The United States men's hockey team is playing Sweden right now, live and scoreless so far.
So if I randomly scream, sorry guys. Sorry.
Hopefully it's a positive woo versus
You'll
an
be able
oh
to tell
no.
the difference. I want to give a quick congrats to you, by the way, as we're hitting the NFL news, because former Trinity Christian wide receiver Isaiah Ford has gotten his first coaching job with the Bears. He's one of the offensive quality control coaches now for Chicago. So good for him. He obviously went to Trinity Christian, went to Virginia Tech, played a little bit of time in the NFL, and now got his first coaching gig.
A cup of coffee, we call it.
Yeah, a little cup of coffee in the NFL.
Yeah, the getting your foot in the door is so incredibly important from what all the coaches we've talked to over the years, and certainly you do a lot when you talk to a lot when you do your Bears podcast, but you just need that first opportunity, whether it's college, whether obviously if it's the NFL, then you've played probably some good football.
And we are seeing these guys start to move up pretty quickly too. Like we're
Grant
talking about here,
Udinski.
Grant Udinski is one of those. Declan Doyle just got an offensive coordinator job, and he's only 29 years old. So you're seeing them rise up, and the right guys start to get noticed. You get, I think, in the right organization under the right coach, you learn well, and people are like, oh, look what they did with Sean McVay. Look what they did with Shanahan. Look what they've done with Ben Johnson. And I think those are things now that it's just such a cool opportunity for maybe previous that it would have taken 10 years, 10, 15 years to finally feel like you were getting your real shot. And now we're seeing a little bit quicker for the guys that at least deserve it, like a Udinski, who has the kind of path that he's had and been able to prove himself with a lot of different quarterbacks, and kind of not just saying it's directly him, but a big part of what we've heard of being Trevor Lawrence and Sam Darnold and some of those other guys that he's worked with. So it's just kind of cool to see those stories and of guys and their path and the way they get there too.
Oh, absolutely. And Grant Udinski, I wonder where he's going. He always does that one trip where he goes completely off the grid and goes like hiking in a remote place. I wonder where he picked this year. Yeah, no phone. Just him by himself in a tent,
Good for him.
probably.
Good for
Assuming he has a tent, sleeping bag, ground. I don't know.
Builds a little fort in the woods.
I know when I go camping, I need like a good mattress.
Yeah.
I need
a fan. I need, depending, I guess, if it's cooler. Sometimes you go in cooler climates and it's not as bad. But when I was younger, I would go camp. We would camp a lot when I was younger, and it didn't matter then. Like I would, you'd have your sleeping bag in a tent and you're fine. And you're like, this is fantastic. And we'd go to the springs a lot. So you'd float down the springs all day and then go back and cook your hot dogs on the fire. And it was so great. Now I am a little more bougie when it comes to what I
It
do.
happens. Yeah, now you look at the campgrounds, you look around, you're like, I like that RV or that fifth wheel. Like, which one of those can I have? Oh, wait, none of them. Okay, which one can I borrow? Because now they have websites for that. You can borrow someone's RV. All right. Speaking of the NFL, the Kansas City Chiefs did restructure Patrick Mahomes' contract this week, lowering his salary cap number from $78.2 million to $34.65 million for the upcoming season. That creates $43.56 million in cap space. This is now the fourth year in a row that Kansas City has done this type of restructure. And of course, this was the plan when Mahomes signed the long-term deal in 2020.
The NFL is so insane. And we talk about this every year. We're like, oh no, what are we going to do?
Gotta get
this
under the
team has
cap.
no cap space, or what are they, what is this going to look like? And then every year teams I feel like certain teams struggle. I feel like there's been times here where you try and do a bunch of things and like you get a little money, but you're not all of a sudden clearing $45 million from one player. Granted, you haven't had a Patrick Mahomes to clear that money from. But I remember talking to somebody pretty early on from one of the kind of contract tracking websites. I don't remember which one it was, but they said that we'll never see another contract like Patrick Mahomes. Like this is the first one and probably the last one, because number one, I think it was 10 years total is what it ended up being. But then there was a couple void years. So it was technically could be 12 depending on what happens. And it was very spread out, and they made it to be able to do this. They did it where like, hey, you're going to be here for a decade, which is fine because you're Patrick Mahomes and we trust that you can play football for a decade. But we're going to make it to where these type of restructures can happen often if we need it to clear up space for other things. And I think that he went into the details of, why you're never going to see this. Number one, you don't usually see a 10-year contract in the NFL.
No.
You'll see those in baseball way more often than you will in the NFL. But I do think that it's just fake. It feels like money's fake sometimes in the NFL when it comes to them being able to clear that much cap space.
Not
with
as fake as like
person.
Otani's deal in
that
baseball.
One, yeah, deferred.
Yeah,
Almost all the Dodgers' money is deferred.
Isn't it fascinating how in baseball some teams like the Dodgers, obviously the Yankees, they don't really care about the luxury tax, right? Like they
because their owners are like, sure, we'll pay it. We don't care.
They just spend over the cap and then they pay the luxury tax. And in the NFL, there is no such thing as luxury tax, and they cannot go over the cap. And so you'd think like somewhere along the line, those sports would have kind of merged ideas.
Yeah,
but no.
What do you think NFL would take to adapt the Major League Baseball?
I think certain owners in the NFL and
Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jones is absolutely one. I feel like Shad Khan honestly is one too, where their primary source of income, I don't know this about Jerry Jones. His primary source of income may now be the Cowboys with as much as they're worth, but Shad's primary source of income is not the Jacksonville Jaguars, despite how much now they're worth, because he has Flexingate, the bumper company that he created. So I feel like Shad would be a guy that would be like, absolutely, I'll go over the cap if it wins me a championship,
meaning a Super Bowl.
multiple years. Yeah, because that obviously pays revenue or pays dividends. And in baseball, though, they're allowed to do it. Again, they have to pay, but they don't care because they have money.
I actually saw an interesting interview earlier with CeeDee Lamb, and in it he was talking about Jerry Jones, and they were asking a lot of questions of just like how it is playing for a team that has an owner who's so hands-on. And I honestly listened because I was like, I'm actually interested to see the player perspective of this, because we kind of mock it sometimes. We're like, Jerry Jones needs to take a step back. It's too much. Like, you make all these comments about you needing to stop the run and you trade Michael Parsons. And that's one example of a million that Jerry Jones has done. But CeeDee Lamb was actually talked really highly of Jerry Jones. And granted, I don't know how negative you would get, but he backed it up in multiple ways. Wasn't just like, oh, yeah, he's great. He's an owner and he does a great job. He went into a lot of detail of it's kind of nice to have a guy that you feel like understands the football side of things and you can actually go to and have conversations, and he wants to have conversations about you specifically about players and on the field and what needs to happen. And it sounds like Jerry Jones will come and talk to the players and say what needs to happen, what needs to be fixed, what isn't working, what's working, what coaches do you like. And not saying that CeeDee says, I don't like Eberflus, then Eberflus is fired. Not saying that, but just actually getting player perspective of things. And obviously not every owner is doing that. Most owners are like, I'm going to stay in my space and handle the business side of things. And that's what it is. So it was really interesting because he goes into that. He was like, he does some crazy things sometimes. We all know that, but like he cares about this organization. He cares about his players. He cares about his coaches, and and so it was interesting to kind of hear that from CeeDee's perspective, just because we kind of mock Jerry so much in the sense of some of his choices.
But yeah, I mean, I'm sure not a single defensive player or offensive player for that matter said, "Let's trade Micah Parsons." Like that is ridiculous. But I did see that the Seahawks are up for sale now after obviously the team won the Super Bowl, and the calculations are predicting that they'll be the highest valued franchise ever. So the purchase price will be the highest we've ever seen in the NFL. I wonder how much that's going to be. You've always heard that it's the Cowboys that would garner the most amount of money, but I guess now
what has been the highest purchased?
Oh, that's a good question.
And it is funny because I saw Adam Schefter's tweet and he said, Super Bowl team for sale. And I was like, kind of crazy, but I guess good timing. It's like you put your house for sale right when, the market goes up and it has more value, or you renovate a room and everything looks really good. And
you win the Super Bowl, you put it up for sale. It was the Commanders sold in 2023. They were purchased by Josh Harris and they were bought for $6.05 billion. So just over $6 billion.
And those 3 years, you said 2023?
2023, yeah. So I would imagine that it's going to be over that 10 billion.
I was about to say probably, I would guess a 10, 11.
Yeah, but it makes sense, actually. I think the Cowboys would be worth more than the Seahawks. It's just they're not going to be put up for sale, whereas the Seahawks have been.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, obviously, you talk about the West Coast, too. There's a lot of finances involved in West Coast things that other states don't have to worry.
Washington versus California's
and that's why I don't
taxes.
either, but I feel like it's still expensive from what I've heard. It's still expensive living there. So I'm assuming other costs involved in that.
Yeah, very high. Also in the NFL, Mike Evans will play in 2026, but he and his agent will explore free agency potentially not in Tampa Bay.
Was that caption, was it the lady that tweeted it kind of misleading at first to you? Did you see the lady it was like, he will return, and then kind of like spaced down and kind of went into, but we don't know if it's going to be the Bucks.
Yeah, his agent said he is opening it up. He will play next season with someone. It could be Tampa, but he will definitely play at 13th season.
Are you interested in that?
I was going to say, I advocated for Mike Evans to come here for the longest time until this past season when he got injured. He had every single year 1,000 yards, which is unbelievable. I would love Mike Evans here as another receiver on this team, but there's no chance that the Jaguars are going to spend the capital that it's going to take to get someone like him.
Do you think, I feel like that screams Chiefs, Titans, like one of those teams that Ravens, somebody that does like older wide receivers a lot, that has a quarterback they're confident in.
I'd be fascinated by that. And I'd be very interested.
Oh, for sure. I think the Bills is a good one, actually. And the Bills, I feel like they have one of the more expensive wide receiver rooms in the NFL, by the way, which doesn't correlate to what they actually are.
Maybe the Patriots too?
Yeah.
Because the Patriots don't have that star weapons.
And so maybe bringing that older veteran guy in that can you don't know how long you're going to have him. But I feel like healthy Mike Evans is better than
At least one
guys-
more year.
Yeah.
And I mean, he would, I feel like, draw attention away from maybe some of the younger receivers that
Yeah.
you have on the team because we know his talent is superior as long as he's healthy.
Yeah. And that's what, I mean, obviously, so he missed pretty much more than half the season this last year, had almost 400 yards and 3 touchdowns, missed some time the year before too, still broke 1,000, 11 touchdowns. And then before that, it's like 1,200, 1,100, 10. It's just insane what he was able to do. I remember the jokes at the end of the year that was like, if Mike Evans gets 600 and whatever yards today, then he can still get 1,000 yards.
Yeah, he had 11 consecutive 1,000 yard seasons,
crazy.
which is just incredibly wild. Like I said, yeah, that injury, we all, I feel like, we're depressed. Like as NFL fans, even if you're not a Bucs fan, you're still depressed.
Yeah. That, and when you look to even touchdowns, so he has seasons with 12, 12, 13, 14, 13, 11, 8, 8. Like that's a very efficient wide receiver for an entire career. And you don't find that often, especially him spending his whole time in Tampa so far too, that's also probably a little sad for Tampa fans. They don't probably want to watch it. Like finish with us.
Yeah. And he may return there,
Yeah.
obviously, with Chris Godwin. We'll see what the finances look like. But anytime you mention a wide receiver's name and you mention Jerry Rice, because Jerry Rice was the only other NFL player to ever have 11 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons, you know you're in good company.
Yes,
yeah.
for
I'm
sure.
going to say it right here, right now. First ballot Hall of Famer. Well, maybe not first ballot, okay?
Yeah, we
but
don't know what first ballot is anymore.
Hall of Famer, at least. One other note in the NFL, the Patriots are hiring inside linebackers coach Zach Kerr to be the team's full-time defensive coordinator. Terrell Williams, who was battling prostate cancer, had to kind of step aside this past season, and Zach was the defensive coordinator as Terrell battled that prostate cancer. But the good news is I think he is cancer-free, or at least it has gotten to the point where he is able to not have any more treatment. And so the Patriots were able to give him a different position within the team.
Love
So
that.
that part is good, yeah.
Yeah, I heard he was kind of they figured that was going to be the hire just being made in general. So it didn't seem like a shock, but I'm glad to hear that good news on the other side of that. Love that.
Yes, exactly. All right, more to do on the other side, including the golden moment. You are listening to Helmets and Heels 1010XL on 92.5 FM.
Join the 1010XL Podcast Network.
Okay, excellent show, everyone.
Now you can find all your favorite 1010XL podcasts in your platform of choice.
Jacksonville, you voted, and Baker Glass came out on top. The Bold City Best Awards are all about locals choosing their favorites, and you picked them for Best Auto Glass and Best Glass and Mirror Service.
I'm back with Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
Helmets and Heels from the Greenlaw Group Studios.
Lauren Brooks here for my friends at Terminix. When pests invade your home or business, you don't just need them out. You need them out fast, and you need to keep them out. When pest issues arise at our house, I know Terminix will be there quickly, and I can trust their technicians will eliminate said pests just like you can. They will do the same for you because they care about what matters most to you and your family. When pests show up, so does Terminix. Don't live with a pest problem, Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule your free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com.
You've probably heard the saying, it's not how hard you get hit, it's whether or not you get back up. Well, I'm attorney Brett Hastings, and I have a saying of my own. If you get hit with a personal injury or wrongful death, hit back and fight to make them pay. At Hastings Injury Law, we have the experience you want if you or a loved one suffer a car or trucking accident or wrongful death. Just call 904-HIT-BACK and we'll help you get up and hit back. Office is Jacksonville.
To get this thing unwrapped here.
Praz, what in the world are you doing working on your Duval?
That's right, man. I really identify with Duval.
You live in St. John's County, knucklehead.
I mean the Duval sub, the Daily Stash Duval. Turkey, ham, melted cheddar, and habanero jack cheeses. Lettuce, tomato, crispy and fresh, you know, like me. I'm sure there's a Daily Stash sub that sums you up.
The boss.
Because, of course,
oven roasted beef, Munster cheese, roasted mushrooms, caramelized onions. It's the boss of all subs. Only available for me.
That's just not true.
What do you mean? I walked in the other day, screamed, "You know it," and said, "A boss for a boss."
Well, no matter who you are, there is a Daily Stash sandwich or sub for you.
Go find yours. They may even make you a boss.
I'm sure they will, because it is Daily Stash.
Where more is better.
And you got that right.
This is Mark Nato. My son Justin injured his hand playing baseball for JU.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialist performed surgery just a few days later, and within 5 weeks, he was cleared to play in the ASUN baseball tournament. Our family has trusted Southeast Orthopedic Specialists for years. For any orthopedic injury, let Southeast Orthopedic Specialists take care of you too.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
The riders who face Daytona Supercross are built different. Withstanding the most unforgiving and grueling track is not just a point of pride, but of pure grit and determination. This battle can only be felt in person. Witness the action unfold at the only place in Florida where the biggest names will battle it out under the lights. Daytona Supercross is built different. It's built for champions. It's built for fans. The gate drops Saturday, February 28th. There's only one place to be. Secure your tickets and trackside access at DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com.
When your home or business deserves more than ordinary glass, you trust the experts. Capital Glass and Shower Doors has been elevating spaces for over 40 years with precision, craftsmanship, and clean, modern design. From sleek frameless shower enclosures to elegant glass railings, wine cabinets, and any custom glass that makes a statement, Capital Glass delivers unmatched quality, service, and attention to detail. Your vision, their expertise. Capital Glass and Shower Doors at capcoglass.com.
Help your loved one fall back in love with his or her home with a home improvement from the professionals at the Lifetime family.
That's right, Nick. Happy Valentine's Day to all the lovebirds out there. What says I love you more than adding additional space with a glass or screen enclosure that will enhance your home's livability, or brand new floors that dramatically improve the look and feel of your home?
That's right. New outdoor living space from Lifetime Enclosures and beautiful floors from Lifetime Flooring.
Come experience the Lifetime difference. Call or visit one of our showrooms today for our Valentine's Day specials throughout February.
Lifetime Enclosures.
Are you in the doghouse or maybe have a special occasion soon? It's funny how Kuhn Flowers can take care of any situation. Max Fink here, and anytime I've needed to make her happy, I rely on Kuhn Flowers to make that happiness happen. There's only one, KuhnFlowers.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still, present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. Now, the Monahan's golden moment. Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach, your local family jewelers.
So one of the conversations we will have leading up to free agency in March is what possible free agents we will stay here. We'll start with that one.
Yeah. Who are we retaining and how much do we have to spend to get new guys?
Who are we retaining? How much do we have to pay them for that to happen? Or where do you go elsewhere if you're looking for something? What position groups that may be? What people? So there's a lot of names that we've talked about a lot on this show already. But
by the way, free agency couldn't be named more of like an incorrect name.
Yeah,
right?
It's not free.
It's
expensive
the
agency.
Of free. I understand it means they're a free agent as far as their contract is not restricting them to a team, but it's very expensive.
Get
free
a lot of
agency.
money agency.
Yeah.
And so there's a few names I wanted to go through. There was some projected via the Athletic money for some of the names that we have talked about on this show quite a bit. And
all right, Shad, are you listening?
Yeah, Shad, hello. So the big one, which I was just telling you this one, Trey Hendrickson is one of the names. And a lot of people are interested in that because you don't, obviously being a free agent, the other pass rushers, edge guys that you're talking about, you'd have to trade for. When you're talking about a Max Crosby or some of those guys, obviously Bradley Chubb released, so that's a different conversation too. But Trey Hendrickson right now, so it's 3 years. This is projection, obviously. 3 years, $99 million. So when you're talking about that, it's going to be $33 million a year for a Trey Hendrickson is the projection for that one. You got a Jalen Phillips.
By the way, Trey Hendrickson is 31, just adding that in, 31 years old.
Jalen Phillips is another player that is projected on here. So his is a 4-year, $98 million, which, by the way, the Trey Hendrickson being 3-year is probably because of age. A lot of these are either the short prove it because they're even older than Trey Hendrickson, or like a Jalen Phillips has a 4-year, $98, which would be $24.5 million deal. That's his projection. Odafe Owe, I think that's how you say it. His is $88 million 4 years that he's projected, so $22 million for him. Khalil Mack is only projected, obviously that's one of the players that is a little bit older also into his career. He's still so productive. I think that they're saying a lot of his will be 1 year just because you're getting to that point where you probably don't want to give him a longer deal, but 1 year, $18 million. Heck yeah. Like, I mean, Khalil Mack is he's still to the point where he's just one of the players who's definitely impacts the game. He's not one of the guys that has dealt or does usually deal with a ton of injury. He's so impactful. He can play a lot of different places. He's just kind of one of those guys that has consistently done it through his career. It's $18 million, only 1 year. So it's like, if you just need somebody that you feel like, let's get through this year and then next year maybe draft an edge or whatever the situation may be, or a defensive lineman, however you want to look at that.
He had 5.5 sacks this past season. 2024, he had 6, obviously all these years with the Chargers. And in 2023, 17 sacks.
Yeah. And the 17 obviously is that number. But I think now he's at that age where you're not expecting that. I think you're expecting. I think if he came here, you put him on this team and you're, putting him alongside a Trayvon Walker and an Eric Armstead and a Josh Hines-Allen, I think you could count on him getting 8, 9, 10 sacks here in Jacksonville. And so that's something. Boye Mafe was another one. So $73 million for 4 years is what they're projecting. So that's at $18.25 million. Joey Bosa, he's another one that's only looking at a 1-year deal right now, $11.5 million. Is that something you'd be interested in about Joey?
I'd have to know about the injury risk and things like that with him.
Because that's definitely been an issue.
Yeah. But, I mean, 11 doesn't seem like a lot when you put it in the comparison terms of
33.
Well, or like De'Ami Brown making 10 million last year.
Yeah.
Which again, I was excited about De'Ami Brown throughout training camp and was surprised by the end of the year he was a healthy scratch. But yeah, when you put it in terms of that, if you're talking about if Bosa can get double-digit sacks or anywhere close to that, I mean, he could end up being the team leader in sacks for $11 million. Absolutely.
Yeah, you would sign up for that. I don't love Joey Bosa. I remember there was all the things between like Jags fans and Joey Bosa. They got into it I can't remember. It was after the playoff. Oh, after the Jags won. I think
Chargers
it was
game.
Yeah, I think it was after that. Some fans saw him out and they all started kind of bantering back and forth. But and then the other one, a name that obviously we've talked about a lot, Tommy and I love this guy, defensive tackle John Franklin Myers. He is projected a 3-year, $54 million, so that's $18 million a year for John Franklin Myers. And he's pretty deeper into his career too, but I still think you could see a lot of production out of him moving forward. And I know Tommy's a big fan of him. I'm a big fan of him. That would be something that I think you have to ponder, because I think somebody like that in your interior just changes your whole defensive line.
Yeah, he's one of the top free agents on the market. So, yeah, you're going to be paying top dollar. Can this team afford that? What does it look like if they're talking about restructuring, and how much can they make available? But I think everyone in Jacksonville went into last offseason thinking, well, you definitely need a new defensive tackle. That position is sorely missing on this team. But I think the Jags franchise, or the regime, I should say, went into it thinking, we have some guys on this team that we think we can make work better.
Mm-hmm.
Like an Eric Armstead was playing edge. Let's move in the interior. Devon Hamilton, if he can return healthy. And then we'll bring in some other guys like a Colin Saunders, who ended up obviously leaving pretty shortly after coming here. But they never found that pass rushing defensive tackle. They had really good guys against the run. And Eric Armstead, we've said it many times, he had 5.5 sacks this season. He would have had more, we believe, if he wasn't injured.
Mm-hmm.
And so would we be having a different conversation when it comes to this? But he is also in his 30s, so you do have to look to the future. But did they think Mason Smith could come in and be that younger guy and be in a rotation with Eric Armstead? But then he got injured, and they both were really injured throughout training camp. So who knows what factored into it. Like you said, by the end of the year, he was not helping this team whatsoever. He was also a healthy scratch, assuming he was healthy.
Yeah, and I wonder, too, how much the approach was, let's get this run defense in order. And Trayvon Walker, he's been good against the run. You talk about an Eric Armstead. It wasn't as good his first year here, but when you go back to his time at the Niners, that was one of the things he was better at. You've seen it with Devon Hamilton. So I wonder how much they approached this year, like, hey, let's go in. We know we have these guys who can be run stoppers. Let's force other teams to just force the turn. I mean, it's kind of what happened is like, we'll stop the run. We're going to force some of these quarterbacks to throw the ball, and then we'll hopefully get some turnovers. And you were kind of expecting a little bit more because you drafted Caleb Ranson and Travis Hunter. And so you were expecting maybe that secondary to be your strength. And Tyson Campbell coming off of, a lot of people had higher expectations for him. You go get Jordan Lewis. You have all of these guys that maybe that was more of the mindset is we can get by this year without having to truly invest on the interior defensive line when it comes to pass rushers, because you can stop the run and kind of force this secondary to make the big plays, which happened in moments. There was a reason that this defense had the amount of turnovers they did, and there was a reason that they beat teams down the stretch the way that they did too, and got teams like Denver who were scoring on other teams, and when you look at situations like that. So I wonder if that flips at all. Like, okay, we have the guys that we know can stop the run. Now we need to be able to, if you want to go further in the playoffs, you have to have that pass rush coming from the middle.
Yeah, you would think that that's absolutely a conversation that they've had, is how do we get this defense to look as close to Seattle's, right? And that, at least that's how I would approach it.
Yeah.
They were the absolute best. They were the absolute best all season long. We saw them. Our offense that was scoring over 30 points each week towards the end of the season only scored 12 on them. Like, how do we replicate a defense like that? And part of that is having really good defensive tackles. We talked about the final 4 teams left standing in the NFL playoffs all had really good defensive tackles. And so, yeah, that to me, that has to be part of the conversation but is it going to come through free agency?
That much money.
With that much money? Or do you feel like you can get a guy at 56 overall and get him in the draft? So we'll see which way they approach it. I get so excited this time of year about all the other sports outside of football. And then I remind myself, like Tom said yesterday, which, by the way, if you missed it, he'll be back with us tomorrow. I remind myself, like, free agency's right around the corner.
Yeah.
And then we also
love
have
free
the draft.
agency. It is fun. Like, even outside of just your team, like seeing where all these players start to move. And it almost is such a whirlwind because it's like, here's everything. Here's all the free agents. And usually they happen pretty fast. Like 1 or 2 happen and then everything kind of starts rolling in. And then next thing you know, you're on to the draft. So then when camp starts, you start remembering like, oh, I forgot this player went there and I forgot this player went there because it's such a whirlwind. But it is a fun time. It's the free agency frenzy is what they call it for a reason. So
absolutely.
It's a good time.
It is for sure. All right, 1 segment to go. We'll bring you today's Pest of the Day on the other side. Keep it right here. Helmets and Heels, 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Helmets and Heels.
Protected by
Green Law Group. For the insured. Fighting for you.
Streaming live from the XL Digital Studios. Polished by Harbor Dental Care, the locally owned smile restoration experts.
Knowing it's time to get hurt, lost wages, injuries that not only hurt but hinder our success. If you're in this position due to the negligence of another, you deserve to be paid. Hey, this is Tom McManus. Injuries suck, so check out Morgan & Morgan. They're the largest personal injury law firm in the country. 100 offices, over 1,000 lawyers, with enough firepower to handle any and all personal injury cases. And they make filing a claim easy, and they don't get paid unless you do. Morgan & Morgan, for the people. Visit forthepeople.com or hit Pound Law from your cell. Pound Law, that's all.
The month for love is a perfect time to get your home organized. Hey, Lauren Brooks here, and I just love our closets from Closets by Design. They create custom storage systems designed around how you actually live, from closets and garages to entertainment centers, laundry rooms, and storage for any space and budget. With their new showroom now open, they have extended the offer of 40% off, plus an extra 15% off free installation and 18-month special financing. Schedule your free consultation by calling 904-878-9393 or find them online, closetsbydesign.com.
Some auto shops love giving your wallet a flush every time you visit. Not AA Automotive. They fix only what needs fixing, nothing more. Honest, fast, and fair. That's AA Automotive on Richard Street. Boring name, awesome service, and no wallet flush.
Bro, have you heard about the hottest and newest sports league in town?
Vanguard Sports League isn't just VIP, it's the standard. Smoke-filled tunnel intros, cool benches with canopies, big scoreboards, championship rings, and convenient locations all across Jacksonville. Oh, and mascot potties there hyping everyone up every game. No wonder it's the talk of the town. Spring and summer registration now open.
Search VanguardSportsLeague.com today.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville. Honda going off-road. They've got it all. 2-wheel, 4-wheel. What's happening, my man?
Man, they've got the Talon. They got the Talon R. They've got the Talon Live Valve. You're looking to do some farm work, they've got the Pioneer 700, Pioneer 1000. Legendary Honda reliability. Super fun. Dirt bikes, of course, always amazing. More podium finishes than any other company. Can't go wrong there.
And families love it when they go off-road with Honda. Check them out. Cycles of Jacksonville on Atlantic near Regency. CyclesofJacksonville.com.
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Hey, it's Travis from Cannons of Jacks. When you need a trailer hitch, gooseneck, or RV towing options, call us at Cannons. We've been doing it for 55 years, and customer service is our #1 priority. Visit cannonsofjacks.com.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwood Jewelers. Clayton, you spend a lot of time talking about diamonds, but what about some of the colored stones we see?
Frank, when you talk about colored stones, there are literally hundreds of varieties and species in the gem kingdom. As certified gemologists, we're trained gemologically on the identification of each of these and can separate the man-made synthetics and imitations from the real thing. But at Underwoods, we can go to the next step. At Underwoods, we're active buyers of loose-colored stones in the world markets, so we have an understanding of the values of colored stones as they relate back to the various qualities. In fact, just like diamonds, we buy most of our colored stones loose, then create the pieces of jewelry to hold the gems. You can be assured not only of the authenticity and quality of our colored stone jewelry, but also of the value. So if you're in the market for a fine quality emerald, sapphire, ruby, aquamarine, amethyst, citrine, tourmaline, peridot, or any other gemstone, come by and see us at Underwoods.
1010XL, presented by Farrah and Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farrah doesn't flinch.
Still scoreless there in the hockey game between the United States and Sweden, but
I was venting a little bit. I was like, this is what they keep doing. They start so slow. Their puck handling is terrible in the first period. They keep turning the puck over. It's like they'll get multiple chances around the net. It's ricocheting, and they're not getting any of the second chances at all, and it's so frustrating. And then all of a sudden, like usually mid-second period, that like just turns up a notch. So hopefully that happens coming up after this intermission.
There we go. That is the latest Taylor
rant.
Men's hockey team rant. The women play tomorrow in the gold medal.
Yes.
Final game, and that's against Canada. So break out the hatred between the two North American rivals. All right, time now for today's Pest of the Day, is always brought to you by our friends at Terminix. You can find them online at Terminix.com. That's TERMINIX.com. They have amazing technicians. You will trust them just like we do, as does Everbank Stadium, VyStar Ballpark, VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena, and all of your favorite event venues around town. So the Pest of the Day, this one's fairly easy. Tony Clark, who had to resign yesterday on the heels of an internal investigation which revealed an inappropriate relationship with his sister-in-law, who worked for the union beginning in 2023. We saw this news story flash yesterday. I didn't think that much about it, other than the fact that we know that baseball is kind of headlining or steaming towards some sort of it's going to come to a head. That's what I was going to say. The labor issues and potentially have a strikeout or an entire missed season, things like that. And so I thought about that, but then I heard Daniel Murphy this morning on The Drill. Did you have a chance to listen to Daniel?
So I caught the tail end of it.
Okay.
I need to go back and listen to the whole thing.
So I've never heard Daniel speak poorly about someone or ill about someone, and he did not like Tony Clark and tried to get him fired multiple times. So if you missed it, definitely go back and listen to that. It's a side of Daniel Murphy maybe you haven't heard before, but all valid reasons as to why he wanted him out.
Yeah, I like I said, I caught the tail end, and even that I was like, whoa, is D-Murph saying bad things about somebody? Because
true things about somebody who was probably
not
bad.
Like bad as in negative things. I've just never heard him say that in a sense, even in situations where he's like, I don't totally agree with this situation, but here's how I could see it from there. It was not that case at all. I was like, I mean, good for you, D-Murph, and obviously he has a way better perspective on and knows a lot more than
about the
we
labor
know.
negotiations.
And so it was clearly time. I feel like when somebody had tweeted and they're like, the legacy of Tony Clark leading the MLBPA, a hollowing out of baseball's middle class, increase in average salary, but median pay stagnant, 60 to 65% players paid at or near the minimum in recent seasons. Most players never reached free agency or the arbitration. Growing wealth gap between players. Kyle Tucker will make 77 times the league minimum this season. MLB league revenue growth trailed NFL and NBA due in part to competitive imbalance. So there's just it's just progressively gotten worse over time. And we see these huge the huge contracts. And we talk so much about the Shoheis and, Aaron Judges and some of the contracts they've got. The problem is, and the reason that the players have talked about, okay, the bigger issue is the floor, is because the gap between that highest paid player and the players at the bottom of that revenue sharing is very, very drastically different. And there's no like mediation of how to try and fix that. And that's why we talk about what might be happening in strikes and that type of situation. And yeah, but hopefully things start to change with him being gone, and I guess him screwing up may fix some things.
It's certainly going to be interesting to be at Thanksgiving this year in the Clark household. That's for sure. Let's say hello to the Frangie Show.
Now, the 2-minute drill is driven by nobody but Nimnicht. Nimnicht Chevrolet on Cassett Avenue and Nimnicht Buick GMC on Phillips Highway.
Hayes, we had Patrick Young on earlier to talk about that Florida beatdown of South Carolina. And he even said, I couldn't be better than Ruben Chinyelu. Everyone's asking me, but no, Chinyelu gets the nod.
Yeah, and Patrick Young was a fantastic collegiate player for Florida. But what Ruben Chinyelu is doing, he's having the most dominating. He needs one offensive rebound to break the school record. That's just preposterous. They still have a half a dozen games left in the regular season, and he might get 10 more games after that if they reach the SEC tournament final, which they probably will, and they make a deep run in March, which they probably will. So it's insane. I've never seen a player, he'll get a double-double and a half. It's happened twice. And so he's incredible, and he's been so much fun to watch his growth this season. It's a testament to Carlin Hartman, the Bigs coach, and Todd Golden too. But obviously to Ruben, who, how is he not a first-round pick? If you're an NBA team that, is looking to add some rebounding prowess to your roster and some, a high-level defender, I get they all want everybody that shoots the three and the three and the three, but there's got to be a place, I would think, particularly when you're talking about deep into the first round, where you're probably talking about teams that already have a lot to offer. To get him, that would be unbelievable in my opinion. But he's a great Gator. I can't wait to see how this season finishes out for him. And it was a sloppy performance, and yet they were up 22 with 3 minutes left. So they're just a buzzsaw, and they're so much fun to watch.
Was this almost back to, I feel like the last two score predictions you've had have been pretty dang close, Hayes.
It's a squirrel, every so often, finds an acorn. And so, it's been okay, and we'll hopefully keep it going. I will tell you now that I like Florida to beat Ole Miss 87-74 on Saturday.
Everybody go make your bets on Hard Rock.
You heard it here first.
What about USA Sweden? What's going to be the score of that hockey game?
I'll say U.S. wins 2-1.
Okay.
What is the score now?
0-0.
Okay, I thought it was 0-0. I don't think I just offered a prediction that can't happen, but yeah, I like the U.S. 2-1
All right, well, we'll hold you to that.
Yes.
Sports
what are
and
you guys
Courts.
talking about,
Yeah,
by the way?
sorry. There is a reason that I'm supposed to be in here. Sports and Courts with Brett Hastings coming up, so we'll certainly look forward to getting into many layers of the collegiate. Are they eligible? Are they not? Case. I would assume that's what we're going to be talking about.
And you've been to two local ballparks recently that have changed, so I'm sure that was fun too between UNF and JU.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had a blast. We'll be out at UNF again tomorrow.
That's right.
So
men's basketball tomorrow night.
You did make me laugh yesterday, by the way, because Frank was like, I see you checking out the buffet, and you're like, those cookies are the size of hubcaps.
They had some cookies out there. And I was good. I didn't go and get one. I could have eaten 6 of them. But, they were almost like little mini pizzas. And, boy, they look good from a distance. But I did not partake.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. Well, thanks so much, Hayes. We shall be listening. All right. That'll do it for us today. For Taylor Dahl, for the absent Tom McManus, will be back with us tomorrow. For RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you tomorrow. But don't go anywhere. The Frangie Show is